Okay, so we're ready to test this unit. I was going to do it last night, but it was getting kind of late, and I just wanted to get some sleep. So we're going to test it this evening and see how we did. So, test stand, we use two of the actual pins you use to mount the plow on the truck to hold the pump into the stand at the top and the bottom. Need to get the ram down a little bit. So we'll hook up our coil wires, red, green, and black, green to green, red to red, black to black. The stand itself has a pretty good ground, so I should be able to get the A coil in the back to energize, and then I can tap down the lift ram a little bit. Connect our hoses. And then, because we do quite a few units where the harness is already attached to the motor, and we don't want to disturb the rusted nut on the motor stud, we use another motor harness, except we have it turned backwards so it mates with this one. However, if you follow the color of the wire beyond the harness, which I'll show you here, it's actually still red to red, black to black. Okay, we got our hoses connected, we got our motor harness, we got our 3 coils connected. When we test the unit, the first thing we do always is we angle it. Because by angling it we can get a pressure reading. So I'm going to back the camera up a little bit, and we're going to be looking up here at the pressure at the same time as the unit goes up. Okay. Alright, so we're going to angle. About 160 amps. Putting out 1,000 psi. That's low. Pegging at 200 amps. Still 1,000 psi. That's low. Okay. Quite often, trying to make an adjustment, we're not going to get any more out of it. Quite often the gears are worn in the pump itself, but we'll try making an adjustment and see if the pressure improves, and we'll go from there. Now you might notice there's an NG on here since you last saw it in the vise. I talked to my coworker and he said that the motor fell off the bench onto the floor, and he thinks it may be damaged internally. So that's why he wrote NG on it, so we don't use it on another unit. It also may be why this thing was spiking at 200 amps when I angled it the opposite way, yet it's only putting out 1,000 psi. So now we're going to try to adjust the pump pressure and see where that gets us. So I'm going to bring this in. Okay. I'm going to bring this down like we did before, energizing the A coil. Some slack here. Alright. Tilt it forward. Disconnect my hose to give me access here. Make sure the camera's still pointing in the right direction. Okay. This is the pump relief valve. There's an adjusting screw that by tightening it, you increase pump pressure. By loosening it, you decrease pump pressure. When a pump is worn out, typically, making adjustments with this screw has no effect. We'll give it a shot, because we always do. Usually when making an adjustment having no effect happens, actually replacing the pump relief valve also has no effect on pump pressure. It's still too low. So we remove the acorn nut first, and there's a washer. It's actually a large washer because there's an O-ring on the adjusting screw that the washer fits over. The O-ring goes in the center of the washer. And then we have a jam nut on here. We're going to loosen the jam nut, which holds the adjustment. Just a couple of turns. All right. We're going to tighten the screw. I'm going to try 3/4 of a turn. We'll see where that gets us. Make your adjustment on the screw. Then you need to tighten the jam nut. You put your washer back on. Make sure to seat it, the O-ring in the center. Acorn nut goes back on. Alright, got that snug. Stand it back up. Well, first let's connect our hose. Stand it back up. Put the pin through the top. And we'll see where that got us. If it made any difference in output pressure by turning that screw 3/4 of a turn. Okay, 3/4 of a turn got us up to 1400 psi, 200 amps. PSI again, 180 amps. Motor doesn't sound too good. And we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to try another 1/4 of a turn of adjustment. Get back down here. We'll see what the extra 1/4 turn does. Energize our A coil. Give some slack. Pull the top pin. Disconnect the hose. 1/2-inch wrench. Loosen the acorn nut. Washer stuck to the acorn nut. See the O-ring on here possibly. Okay, we're going to loosen the jam nut. Turn this 1/4 of a turn in to increase the pump pressure. Retighten our jam nut, making sure that the adjusting screw is not turning with it. Otherwise that would defeat the whole purpose of making the adjustment. Right, snug. Push our O-ring down so it's all the way on the screw. Put the washer back on, the O-ring in the center. Acorn nut. Snug. Reconnect our hose. Stand it back up. top. This oil that's on here is coming from the female coupler on the back of the unit. And every time I disconnect the hose, it's dripping a little oil and it's running down onto the front of the unit. Alright. Zoom out. And pan up. Maybe if I move the camera here a little bit, you'll better be able to see what's going on up top here. Okay. All right. $1,600. $1,600 PSI. About 190 amps. $200 amps. Now we're going to raise it. 180 amps. Motor does not sound good at all. 170, 180 amps. Motor's quite noisy. Most likely it was damaged when it fell off the bench onto the floor. I'm going to pull in close with the camera so you can see the gauges move when I raise and lower this. Let's bring it back here a little bit. Looks like we got a little glare. Back up again. Let's watch the gauges. See our ammeter. Okay. You should never energize your switches, so you should never hold your switch in any direction for more than 3 seconds. All that's going to do is put a huge load. As you can see, this thing's pulling 180 amps, 190 amps, 200's not uncommon. It's like starting a truck, you know, on a cold day. You're putting a heck of a load on the battery. So you don't want to keep holding that switch, because typically in 3 or 4 seconds, whatever function you're asking the pump to perform, it has already performed. So let's angle again. Well, there you have it. I'm going to adjust that pressure up just a little bit more, because I got it to go from where it was up to 16, and spec is 1650 plus or minus 50, but I'd like to get it closer to 17, 1650, 17, in that neighborhood. And be ready to be sandblasted, have a new motor installed, brand new coils, painted, decal, be ready to sell in our store. Thanks for watching.